Good evening, boys and girls. Welcome to another live edition of the Highbury Squad. The next stop is indeed HS. You know what to do. Here we go. Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad. Good evening, everybody. Happy Tuesday. The Tuesday-ish club returns next week when Mr. Hillier is finally done with his time off. Can you believe that, Super Kev? Taking time off. The audacity of it all. Welcome back to the show, my podcast brother from another mother, Mr. Super Kev, Super Kevin Campbell.
How are you, Sophie? All right? Hello, squaddies. Good to see you. Welcome back. I hope you're in a good mood and smiling after the superb show we had yesterday. Really was touching, wasn't it? At ease.
Kev. Oh, sorry. How rude of me.
It's all right, Soph. You're the hostess with the mostest. You're allowed. Don't worry.
Yeah. Well, you know, I should know my manners. Rich, been thinking about you because Rich is one of our double 71 fans, Kev. He saw the team play that season, and Rich is one of many people who has reached out to say how much they loved the episode last night.
I have a question for Rich, by the way.
Oh, go on. Yeah,
did he go to White Hart Lane?
I think he did, if I remember correctly. It was either Rich or Peter, I think, one or the other, but maybe both.
Obviously, if Rich is there, let's see if he went to White Hart Lane, because that would have been interesting, wouldn't it? I know a few people who went to the game, and the joy that they share after that game.
Amazing.
And they walked home walked it. It was amazing.
I would have walked home as well. Gosh. Stopped off at every boozer on the way home as well, Kev, for sure. It is great to get that perspective. So we got a lot of great notes, DMs, emails, and it was really cool to hear from people that listened to the show that experienced 71, and a lot of people, Kev, who had Bob Wilson as their hero growing up as well. And I haven't stopped thinking about the conversation since last night. And so I scrapped everything that we were going to do today because I just wanted to kind of reflect on the moment, because sometimes I think we get so caught up in the today and the instant gratification world that we live in. Football, it's all about results. How did you perform? How did you play? And somewhere along the way, not that community's been lost, because I do not believe for a second the clubs have lost their touch with the community in how they work with them, support them, the charitable stuff. But it made me feel like he reminded me why I fell in love with football. Like, it took me back to my conversations with my dad, growing up and stuff like that. I don't know. Did you? I mean, you were in love with football since you were born. When I was younger, I wanted to work for 20th Century Fox. When you were younger, you wanted to play for Arsenal Football Club.
Exactly, wanted to play football for Arsenal. And I think that the interesting thing about Bob Wilson, when you actually really listen to what he says and you rewatch the show, and the love, not only the love he has for the Arsenal, obviously, but his humility. Such a humble man, somebody who's done what he's done in the game, from being, school teacher. He used to teach Charlie George. Could you imagine that dynamic? You're training with him in 1 minute, and in the next hand, you're teaching him. But he's always been humble. He's always been such a good guy, and I mean this a lot when I say Bob Wilson made the goalkeepers so much better. He really did. He made John Lukic better. He made Dave Seaman, Alan Miller, all those guys. He made them better. He was in and around the club, And anytime, he always had a nice word, a kind word to say. You know, didn't batter anybody or say negative. It was always about doing better. Do you know what I mean? Improving, doing better. Because and again, you know, when you're on the inside at Arsenal, it's a lot different than when you're on the outside. You're on the periphery. And you said something last week, Sophie, where you said, you know, you haven't liked this team for a long time. Bob Wilson and I share something. We're lucky enough to play in an Arsenal team that the fans loved.
Yeah.
That makes a huge difference.
We loved you and beyond. Sorry, I'm just bringing this up so I can read some messages from last night. Keep going on. Keep going, Kev.
Yeah, no, it was. I think it's important as well for the squaddies, especially the squaddies, to hear from a legend that is Bob Wilson about the club and what he thinks. Because you know what, as you said, it's easy to get in your one-track mind. You know, everything's gone wrong and it's not working, etc. But as Bob explained, that double winning side just didn't happen overnight. It took time, and it took cohesion, and it took a couple of things to click. And once it clicks, then you're away. Not every club does it the same, by the way. If you notice, Arsenal have never done it the way Chelsea or Man City have done it. They've never done it that way.
No, not at all. I mean, and each club has its philosophy and its culture. What works for Chelsea and their managerial revolving door might not work for the Arsenal. We've just never been that kind of club. Yet you can't argue about their strategy, Kev, because it's worked wonders for them in the modern game.
Listen, they're playing catch up. And boy, in the last 20 years, they've done fantastically well. But like I always say, Sophie, the two clubs are not the same. They are not the same.
No, they're not. Mohammed thinks I should have given Sir Bob that yellow card last night just for the hell of it.
You're a bad guy, man. You're a bad guy.
And like Aston just said too, he said that he's really starting to like this team again. And players have everything to do with that, Kev. You know, it was very easy. It's very easy to fall in love, you know, with this guy. And, you know, it was also very easy, you know, to fall in love with these two when they had this kind of partnership. And, you know, it's easy to love these guys. You know, we've got some really likable players who are leading, but it was also I mean, how likable were you guys? And what about this lot?
Wow.
You know, and how about these fellas? You have to have a relatability factor with your team, Kev. The club can try and sell you every shirt, every line, every merch piece possible. But you have to have that connection. Something's got to connect you with the club beyond just the history, right? Because we've seen that some fans have kind of lost their way a little bit with who we are, where we've been, what we've done, you know, versus who we are today. And I think if there's anything that Edu's done right, culturally, he's bringing in players that can resonate with the fans again. Long way to go. Really long way to go.
Of course.
But I really like them. I really like a lot of them now.
Sophie, I think we discussed it at the start of the season. I think it was during the just before the window was closing. And we were saying, do we think that the club are going to make more signings? And I said, no. I said, sometimes it's not about what we want because other clubs won't do business with us all the time. Okay? But the key to it is we need functional players. Everybody was talking about the big names, etc. That isn't what Arsenal need. You know why? Because Arsenal need an identity right now. We need to know when they go across that white line And I keep going on about this, and it must drive the squaddies and people mad. But when they go across that white line, Sophie, the least we expect and should get is at least they have a goal.
Mm-hmm.
That's the least to expect. They work and have a goal. So when you look at it, we've gone for the names, and it hasn't got us to where we really want to be. And the truth of the matter is, Sophie, I think that goes away from some of the philosophy at the club. Getting younger players in, developing a tight-knit group, and then going for it. Because at the end of the day, we start to see the media turn against us. Soon as we didn't start well, they were on our neck. They were trying to brock our neck. And then everybody started to see, hold on a minute, that everyone took a step back and thought, hold on, this ain't right. Because the media were just loading up and letting us have it. But the team had to step up. The team had to step up. And like I said before, the guys that go on the pitch, they have to carry the hopes and of the fan base. Mm-hmm. They have to fight for the fan base. And that's what these guys have been doing. And we know there's been indifferent performances, but they still fought. That's one thing. It may not go our way all the time, Soph. But the fact of the matter is they're putting a shift in, and they will try and fight and work for us. Sometimes that's all we can ask, because it won't always go well.
Yeah, because I titled the show Then, Now and Tomorrow. And, you know, one of the things that I think the then, and someone brought it up, is we look at things so differently now through different glasses. Because, for example, now there's a lot more money, Kev, in football. And, you know, Bob talked about earning, I mean, I think it was £12 or something ridiculous, right? He's winning the double. And those guys, when you think about the money that they were on at the time, you know, and those guys, when they retired, they didn't have the multi-millions of pounds and dollars and euros that modern day footballers do. And there seemed to be a time period where when the Premier League came in and the money came in, there was a disconnect between the haves and have-nots.
But here's the thing,
and
Soph.
That's a life thing as well, yeah.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Soph. I disagree. Because how can Chelsea spend money, City spend money, and they get their team fighting? Liverpool spend money, they get their team fighting. Manchester United spend money, they get their team fighting. Even that lot down the road spent money and got their team fighting. They got to a Champions League final. They scared the life out of me. I don't know about you and the other gooners, but seriously, Soph.
I went running that day, remember?
Well, right. That absolutely frightened the life out of me. Why? Because we didn't have it. We didn't have it, so we didn't have that connection. And here's the thing, what I'm trying to say as well, Sophie. You're going to earn whatever you earn. The key is, what is the buy-in? And now we're starting to see what Mikel Arteta, that's why he had to turn over the players. Because there was no buy-in from the so-called stars who he had to get rid of. There was no buy-in.
Okay, so I just want to rewind a bit, because my comment, and I agree with what you're saying to a certain extent there, but I'm talking about the connection with the fans and the players. When the Premier League really kicked in, and I think it was evident in that England team, people looked at David Beckham, Rooney, Lampard, Terry a certain way, right? This so-called golden generation who did nothing and earned everything. And for a while, there was that disconnect. Then social media came about, Kev, and it connected people directly with the players that they've sung their name from the terraces. It brought them a little bit closer again, you know. And now you've got a generation of players who would think even think twice about swinging by the pub and having a couple drinks, whether it's for the gram or not. There's this new wave of community and this new wave of younger player, the modern player who wants to fit into the world, be more understood, more understanding, etc. What you're talking about is the money in invested in teams. And I agree with you. Like, it hasn't stopped City fans from loving Aguero, Company, even Joe Hart at the time, Silva, all of those players.
But here's the thing about, you said talk about modern day footballers. If the modern day footballers don't perform, they ain't going to no pub. They ain't going to be part of that community. Why? Why? Because the community turns against them.
But okay, so do you think it's different now because we see it? It's so prevalent on social media, Kev, about people who get turned on and stuff like that, versus you just used to hear it from the terraces or when you drive your car out of the stadium and in the local papers. The local papers back in the day,
radio, papers, fanzines,
the Manchester Evening News, the Chronicle, all of those grassroots regional newspapers, they had beat writers, and they still do, but it's more online. They still have print, but it's not the same, Kev. So was it the same, but just the delivery system, the vehicle of communications and media was different?
Yeah, listen, you got stick no matter what. So whether you're on social media or you're not, it didn't really matter, because if you were getting stick, you'd get stick. You'd get stick in the stadium. You get stick outside the stadium. You get stick during the week. People would write you letters. Because obviously mobile phones weren't a thing then. People
used to get a lot of letters, didn't you, Kev?
Used to get a lot of letters, you know.
Especially when you were captain of Everton.
I used to have a so-called family out in all different places of the earth. Let me just say that. I used to get unbelievable letters. But the point I'm trying to make, Soph, is because of social media, yeah, there is a big community out there, Sophie. But it can be toxic. It can be. So if you're doing well, it's great. I mean, look, Aaron Ramsdale hadn't even put on the Arsenal shirt. He hadn't even got to the club. And Arsenal fans were absolutely ripping him a new one. That's not right.
No, it's disgusting.
You know what I mean? Yeah, that's disgusting. And other Arsenal fans jump on and say, listen, no, that's wrong. But that's the social media era now. People don't care. What was leveled at him? And Bob mentioned it yesterday, how he's so strong in the mind. Player of the season at Bournemouth got relegated. Player of the season at Sheffield United got relegated. And they were beating him over the head with that. He can't be good, Sophie. He's been in the England squad, but he can't be good. And look now, he's come in and he's shown himself, and all of a sudden people are like, hey, he's good. Never gave him a chance at the time.
What's a shame is, and Mo, it is very toxic, but at the same time, it isn't. There are lots of really good conversations that I see between Arsenal fans on social media. Kev and I interact with a lot of different fans every single day. And most of it is really talking about the beautiful game, a show, answering questions, whatever it is. Our YouTube comments can be very interesting sometimes, depending on what we're talking about.
Who's that? Deluded Campbell?
Deluded Campbell.
I suppose I am sometimes, but...
That YouTube comment show's coming during this international break,
It's
Kev.
got to.
Okay, so before I wanted to read out some of the messages, Kev, and I got a really, where is it? Right here. I'm gonna read out a couple to you. This is from Universal Greek, who is on our show often. I can't believe I missed your excellent show with Bob Wilson. I must admit it brought a few tears to my eyes. He was my boyhood hero. Yes, I'm that old. So many happy memories of being taken to Highbury by my late father to watch Arsenal when Bob was strutting his stuff. Absolutely loved the man's bravery and dedication. Can't believe he'll be 80 years young so soon. Thanks to you and Kev for the wonderful show. It meant a great deal to me personally. And now my son is watching it too. And he cannot believe Bob's gardening gloves. I just love getting letters like that, Kev. I love it.
It means a lot, doesn't it? And you know, it means a lot to people who witnessed Bob Wilson. And you know, I mentioned about John Burridge saying he was the bravest keeper. It's it. Universal Greek says it as well. He's brave, he was tough, and he was a brilliant goalkeeper. He really was a brilliant goalkeeper. And them gardening gloves were something else. Weren't they? I mean,
that was just so brilliant. And you know what I love the most is that he had a hole in it. I mean, it was gold.
Wouldn't fix it. He left it as it is.
Yeah, it's so good. This is, and then we got a note from Chai, the ace. This is the best Arsenal podcast ever. We're so lucky to learn the history of the club that we love from these legends. Sophie and Kev, you are the best. Thank you very much. You guys are officially legends. That one made me laugh because I'm like, Super Kev's already a legend. So thank you for the compliment anyway.
No, that's not. Well, Soph, you're a legend as well, darling. You're a legend as well.
I want to just read a couple more before I get on to like the next phase of this conversation of the then, now, and tomorrow. From our good friend Archangel. Thanks, Sophie and Kevin, for bringing Bob on the show. Good to see at 80 years young, his mind is as sharp as ever, and his reflexes were. One from Krista Haas here. This is the most inspirational podcast I've seen about Arsenal since watching Arsenal videos on YouTube. Keep it up, Kevin. Your passion is just incredible.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And they go on, Temp Step. Soph, this was a great show. Loved every moment of it. Bob is great. Keep bringing us our heroes. And that is our goal. Bo Jihanga, that was the most uplifting podcast I've seen in ages. Thank you, Sophie and Kevin, for making it happen. Jonathan Rasborski, yes, more legends, emotionally recharging stories. And Kev, there are 100 and plus of them, couple hundred. I could go on and read them all night, but I wanted to share them with some of our listeners and with you, because I know you don't get to see all of those YouTube comments. And really, thank you to everyone who wrote us, and thank you to everyone who enjoyed that show. And if you know someone who will enjoy it, you know, please share it. It's great, isn't it, Kay? Isn't it, Kev?
Yeah,
I was going to call you KC.
No, hey, listen, KC broke the neck. Call me what you like. For me, you know, Sophie, it's I don't really get to see Bob and some of the legends as much as I would like. You know, I'm part of the 100 Club at Arsenal, and I think that was the last time I actually saw Bob was when I went to a game as part of the 100 Club, and Bob was there with Megs. So the admiration is there, and it's like you've never been away from each other, you know. But you don't really get the opportunity to spend as much time with these guys as you were, you know, the ex-teammates and stuff, because everybody's doing their thing. But when you do get on, the connection, I felt the connection to Bob, like we were at the training ground all those years ago, you know, because he's that type of character that just brings everybody together.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, what a fantastic human being as well. Guys like that rub off on us. They really do. They make a difference in our lives.
Do you know what I love about seeing you two together? And the same when Lee Dixon's been on our show, and Smudger, you know, and Hilsey. It makes me, okay, it's similar, but it's not the same, but I can describe it how it feels for me. When I see my ex-colleagues from 20th Century Fox or Sony Pictures, but especially 20th Century Fox, that time was just so special, so unique. your face lights up, you see them, and they're like family. You know, you feel like a connection beyond something because you did something together that nobody else experienced. You know, like you work on certain films, you do Oscar campaigns, you do Golden Globes, you do the red carpet, you do cat. There's something about that time that is so special. You can never replace it.
Mm-hmm.
And when I see you with the players and the people who are associated with the club, it's like this alumni, right? People who go to college here in America, the alumni. You go to Penn State, you're blood brothers for life.
For life, yeah, yeah.
And seeing his face light up too, Kev, when he saw you and talking about you and Righty, and you two must have been terrors on that. I tell you, when you
no. But that's the thing. We weren't terrors at all. But we wanted to get in with the goalkeepers because we loved Bob, and you could be on the far pitch and you could hear Bob praising them.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd warm up and we'd run past them, and me and Righty be together, and we'd be like, Cam's up, we need to get over there. I said, tell me about it. Do you know what I mean? We do need to get over. But again, people won't know that unless you're on the inside, or it comes out in a chat like having it with Bob. And Bob, this is how much it meant. I'm talking about it, and Righty, whenever Righty sees Bob, Righty mentions it. Curve Glass 123. The 100 Club is players who have played 100 league games.
Yeah.
For
I
Arsenal,
I'd let you tell him.
You get a special tie and stuff like that, and you get invited to certain games if you can make it. And that was my last time going to the 100 Club where I saw Bob. I've been to other games since, but not as the 100 Club and not seen Bob. I've been as just a regular fan. But you know, the 100 Club is a special place,
and people loved. And Kev, I thought I'd let you answer that. And you know, people, when you told that story of you and Righty going to Bob Wilson, I got a lot of DMs and a couple, a couple emails, because people don't know that story. They don't. I mean, they may have heard, but they
won't know it.
No, they won't.
You won't know it. Now, again, because watching Bob and running by him and the goalkeepers, etc., there's an energy. If you notice when Bob was on, there's an energy with Bob.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Righty and I wanted to tap into that energy. We really did, because I'm telling you, he made John Lukic better. He made Dave Seaman better. He made Alan Miller better goalkeepers because of the way he coached them, the way he praised them. You know, you could be better. I mean, I remember Bob being at games where Dave Seaman was in goal, and they'd be dissecting stuff right after the game. So, dissecting everything right after the game. Bob would write things down. It's called perfectionist, isn't it? Mm-hmm. You want to be perfect. Righty and I wanted to be part of that. We wanted to bury the goalkeepers. But the method in the madness is, if we want to bury the goalkeepers, we're doing something very right.
Yeah. It's so don't worry, Woody Wood. We're working on it. I am. Kev, I love the psyche, though, of that you guys, at that time, because they say it's more sophisticated now, the training, the tactics. I mean, you've been through it on the modern day of the Premier League too, Kev. You've got Tyrese now in the modern game, seeing it from your son's perspective. Is it, again, I used this phrase earlier, the vehicles just change, but the philosophy is the same, is it not? Every day when you get up and go to training?
Again, people tell me football's changed. What's changed about football? The ball's round, the goals are still the same, the pitches are the same size. Football's football. It's all about winning, Sophie. It is all about winning. And when you're at a club like the Arsenal, it's about going out there and performing. because the pressure is on you to perform. And you mentioned it to Bob, and I always say when we have our conversations off air as well, Sophie, sometimes that cannon is too heavy for some players. Because let me tell you, the fan base is the way they are for a reason. Why? Because they've had success. They know what it looks like. They know what it feels like. They know what it tastes like. I remember asking you when you were going to Highbury, and you'd go to Highbury with a swagger because you knew what was coming.
My best betting days, Kev. Made a lot of money.
Exactly.
Spend it all.
Spend it all. But you knew what was coming. You knew what was going out there. And yeah, there were certain games that didn't quite work out, and you'd accept that because why? You knew that the boys would be fighting. You knew that the boys had the quality to do what they needed to do and get over the line and win games. But when you don't have it for all this time, look at the battles we have. Look at what we actually look at. We look at this, that, the other. But there's one constant. There's a team that crosses that white line. And we haven't had that consistency since the Invincibles, really.
We just haven't had quality players since Robin van Persie, Alexis Sanchez, Cesc Fabregas. Sanchez for me was, and Cazorla were the last quality. I know.
Yeah, but it wasn't a team. You see, we've had good individuals, we've had great individuals, Sophie. But as Bob said yesterday, and as we know, and the squaddies and the Gooner Nation knows, and most teams know, you are judged by your league and winning the title. That's how you're judged as a club.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's been 17 years for us.
And there's no doubt about it that there were some barren moments, in the 80s. And it wasn't great for a while. But football is also cyclical, Kev. Yeah. I think the issue for us is having had such prolific success, going invincible. I think, that was just a wow, unbelievable moment. I mean, to go unbeaten in the Premier League is...
And to be the only ones to do it. That's the other one.
And to win the league at White Hart Lane, Old Trafford and Anfield.
Incredible.
I think...
It don't happen to normal clubs, Sophie.
No, but because we've been average in terms of competing... By the way,
won it twice at White Hart Lane.
We did win it twice at White Hart Lane. Let's not forget that.
Yeah, let's dig it in.
I know. They should change that song that I sang last week. They've got to fit the twice in now to the old... I think because we haven't won the league in 17 years. And yet, okay, now when you look back on things, Wenger did consistently qualify for the Champions League for 20 years. Now when teams do it, like if a Tottenham has done it for 5 years running or Leicester have done it, they get accolades. Yeah. We're held to a higher standard, which I guess is a good thing, but it also comes with a lot of abuse, doesn't it? Doesn't it, Kev?
Yeah. Not only abuse, Soph. Not only abuse it comes with the expectation. When you're the Arsenal, you're not just a normal club. You're not. You're held to a different standard.
Kev, the turning point in the league right now, and I want to move, we're in the today moment of the conversation, and I wanted to share a couple of clips with the folks as well. But is it going to be judged on getting back into the top 4, or is the moment for every fan going to be when we just win the thing again, which could be a long while away? What is your barometer for that?
Competing. It's competition, the competing, Soph. It's when the team go out there, whether it's Man City, home or away, Liverpool, home or away, Burnley home or away, Leicester home or away. We know what we're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
And they do it consistently. That's when you're moving up levels. That really is when you're moving up levels. Because if you're going to win the title or to compete for a title, what's the one thing you need, Sophie? It's the C word. You need consistency.
Yeah.
And the consistency isn't necessarily that you're going to play well every game. The consistency is you are going to battle and fight and get over the line consistently. Because not everyone plays well all the time. It's impossible. But the key is when you don't play well, do you pick up the points or pick up the wins?
Mm-hmm.
And we've lacked that for years.
Yeah. We lost the winning ugly can be beautiful factor about us. And you talked about the 1-0s and stuff. I wanted to keep up this comment from Newman, because part of the today and tomorrow part of our conversation, and thanks to every one of you for joining us this evening. The Arsenal women are playing in the Champions League against Barcelona in Barcelona. Unfortunately, we're losing 1-0, but we will be talking about the women in tomorrow's Wednesday Women's Show. We've got some double bills coming up, some premieres later on this week, you guys. So some more exciting content coming your way. 250 in live chat. Hit that like button if you love Bob Wilson and you hate Tottenham. It's really quite simple. So, Kev, I went to SoFi Stadium over the weekend. I went to see the Rams versus the Cardinals.
I watched it, to be honest.
I know. And I was texting you from the stadium because
Yes.
I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Now, I agree we can't keep blaming Kroenke, because I do think that they've shown some serious investment in the team. And when you look at what they've spent, unfortunately for us, Kev, I'm not saying they're perfect because they're not, but a lot of bad executives have mismanaged these funds, this money, these contracts terribly. But while I was there, Kev, and I wrote this to you and I wanted to share it with everyone, and I promised that I would. I look a bit too happy in this picture, but I'm kind of just overwhelmed with the size of the stadium and the euphoria around an NFL team. This is just the NFL media group and national press, the police, standing like a guard of honor as the Rams are coming out of this tunnel. And then I wanted to share this video, and then I'll explain why when I was there I had a lot of mixed emotions. I'll just play a little tiny piece of it. Okay, Kev, it is a monstrosity. It's like stepping onto a film set, right? When I was there, I was on the field level, and I was in a suite. I was very fortunate. I lived the high life, and it was wonderful, and I enjoyed it. But part of me was sitting there, and Tony looked at me. She goes, "What's wrong?" And I said, "Why can't he do this for Arsenal?" I got actually got a bit choked up. God, I'm a bit sensitive this week. And it wasn't the sense of why can't he build this stadium for Arsenal? Everywhere I looked, there was money, investment, whether it was the Google suites, whether it was the Google Cloud suites, whether it was, the Pachanga Casino Resort, big brands, the commercial opportunities that we seem to not be as great as. And I was sitting there and I was thinking, like his family were like in a suite kind of to the right, and I wish they got our club. That was for me, not the penny drop, but I was like, do they understand it the same way they understand this? You know, moving the Rams, going through that, moving an NFL team from a city takes a lot. It takes a lot of balls in addition to money to do that. But what he's built is like he's got real estate. It's not just about the Rams. He's a businessman, right? So it's about concerts, it's about everything. It's huge. But I was sitting there thinking, the smart people who've put all this together, we could use a few of those smart people to take the Arsenal to the next level. They've got the relationship, Kev. They've got the means.
Problem
Why
is,
not
so
us?
here's the problem. American sport and English sport, two different animals.
Mm-hmm.
There's no relegation or promotion or whatever in the NFL. You could see the thought process of an NFL stadium. For anybody that doesn't know, you mentioned the brands that come in. You will have brands for food in the stadium. So you'd have a McDonald's, you'd have a Taco Bell, you'd have Kentucky, you'd have all the brands in the stadium. In England, you will get Arsenal. It'll be Arsenal's place, if you understand what I mean. In somebody, there's Subways in there and all that. There's none of that in England. It'll be Arsenal and it's the same old stuff. But the key to everything, Sophie, is winning. You can't sell me anything if the team ain't winning. Sorry, but you can't. When we were invincible and when we were doing all the bits and winning all the stuff, you could have done everything you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're not winning, Sophie, who wants to be part of losers? Great history and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But the name of the game is to win.
I completely agree with you, but there are teams that do and have smart commercial opportunities based on whether it's in their region or they have a great fan base somewhere, Kevin. I'm not saying to people, listen, I was there the night at Highbury when the Shaman sang I can't remember what song it was when the Premier League were trying to emulate Monday Night Football the same way as the NFL, Kevin. It was a disaster. Yeah. I mean, the abuse they got, you could imagine what the Arsenal fans were singing. I'm not talking about that, you guys, not the spectacle and the entertainment. Talking about smart business, commercial opportunities that will raise the coffers for the Arsenal and bring... Because there are brands, Kev, that don't do well but still have brand equity. And we always say if players still want to join the Arsenal because we have brand equity, we've got the history. There are partners out there that will want to partner with us because we are the Arsenal. Do you know how many fans have told me, as young as the Emirates Stadium is, Newman just pointed something out to me too, but I think Potsy was talking about like the paint job, the seats, the wear and tear.
Looking a little bit.
So that's what I'm talking about, Kev. Like a coat of paint to any home adds value to the home. Makes it look good.
Yeah, but a team on the pitch adds more.
No, I agree with that completely. I do. But I mean, when I see like Josh Kroenke kind of, and some American fans can correct me if I'm wrong, but I do think that he's put a little bit more effort into the Denver Nuggets, and we've seen the Denver Nuggets improve over the last 2 or 3 seasons. But there's a lot of things that go into creating a fan experience. Whether you're a season ticket holder, whether you're a fan coming from Asia, North America, Europe, Africa, wherever in the world you are, and the Arsenal front window looking and feeling as it should be. I think that's where I got a little bit like, damn. And maybe it's because it's all new and it looks shiny and like something out of Star Trek. And of course, I mean, I got a bit jelly.
Yeah, don't
And
worry.
and I, and I felt a little bit hurt.
Yeah, don't worry. The Emirates was that once, but it's not anymore. This is what happened, Soph. And that SoFi Stadium, over time, will not be the sexiest stadium around. There'll be
Hmm.
others. They'll be bigger. And, Arsenal would hopefully get a lick of paint.
Perfect example, Dennis. Thank you. The Cowboys haven't won the Super Bowl in 30 years. And you know what? They are still, outside of the Yankees and the Lakers, maybe, the most expensive sports brand in the world. Forget the NFL. Jerry could sell that thing for 10 billion plus tomorrow,
Yeah,
Kev.
but look, but again, Sophie, American model and the companies that are in America are totally different to what's in England. One
But
state's the size of England, bigger.
I know, but globalization exists, Kev. There are brands that are everywhere in the world now. You could go do something with DoorDash, or you could do it with, you know, Facebook. You could, well, maybe not. They'll crash any day now.
Don't even
But you
go
know
there
where
with what's happening. No,
you.
no, I understand what you're saying, Sophie, and
Okay.
I don't
Yeah.
I don't want to mean to be difficult, but why would I put my money? I remember you're talking about globalization, and a lot of these companies won't know who the Arsenal are. So you're having to sell yourself. Okay? So if you're having to sell yourself, you're going up against all the others. Because
This
everybody's
is
after the same. Everybody's after the same, Sophie. Everybody's after generating more money.
mm-hmm.
Everybody.
Well,
The problem is, Soph, and it's a simple math. They win, we haven't. So straight away, okay, what are you bringing to the table? Look, we bring a shiny trophy here. They bring a shiny trophy there. We bring our history. Fantastic history that it is.
mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, you maximize when you're winning. We know that. You maximize when you're winning trophies and the team's on the up. If we could get this young team winning, we're in dreamland. We
Even
are
though
in
we haven't
dreamland.
even though we haven't won though, Kev, the Premier League, like our fan base is still, I would say, and I'd love to know, someone's asking a great question here, by the way. I would think Arsenal are bigger than the Rams on a global level in terms of fan base.
They are, Sophie, but
Yeah.
but you're missing the point. The
No, I
po-
get what you're saying. I get.
but for anybody in chat, the point is the Rams are American based and the Rams will get the investment from America. They will get all the franchises, they will get all the brands from America.
I get that, but you can still change the graphics on the outside of the Emirates, and you can still fix the seats. That's what
Well,
I'm
it's called the
saying.
Emirates for a reason, right? It's called the Emirates for that was a deal that was tied up long when we were doing well. So
But I mean, I'm saying from a fan point of view, I'm looking at drenched in money around me on that day, and I'm thinking, man, they can't even paint the seats at the Emirates and make them look sprightly. You know what I mean? That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. Run with cows. It's not depressing at all. It's actually a conversation because I was there at Stan's house, his $7 billion home. We talked about the then, the now, all the great things, the new players, the new culture, the DNA and stuff like that. And then the icing on the cake of the tomorrow part is having the owners dig a little deeper into their pockets and give us a little bit extra. You know, that's all. That's all. And
well, we
I
all want
wanted
the
to
same
share
thing.
that with everyone.
Well,
Yeah.
we all want the same thing, so that's one thing we will agree with. We all want the same thing. The key is how we get it. How do Arsenal get it? Arsenal have never been the type to go and spend fortunes for managers, fortunes like a Chelsea or a Man City, just to blitz it with a. We're just not that. We're not that club. We've never been that club, Sophie. Never.
No, we haven't. But Kev, alongside not moving on the pitch to keep up with our competitors, alongside not investing in keeping our community programs and projects, like the reinvestment in that this season has been good with the Tollington and seeing all of these local businesses and seeing how the club really was super re-engaged with COVID and stuff like that. But then seeing like our commercial opportunities and how I was in Century City Mall the other day, and there's a PSG shop. This was before Messi even signed. There's a PSG merchandise store at the Century City Mall, right next to Nakatomi Plaza. And that's the type of stuff I think we need a creative juice,
but having
an impetus.
Sophie, having a shop somewhere is one thing. But what you're talking about is bringing in the big money into the club. It's totally different, I'm afraid. Having a shop in America, Arsenal could do that.
No, but it's a globe. That's an example I'm giving to you of something we're not doing commercially in the sense of how we capitalizing on our assets and how can we further build our brand equity.
No, but Sophie, you build your brand equity by winning.
No, Kev, I can sell, right, an idea. I sell a show to Netflix. They don't know it's a winner yet. They don't know that. They believe in the idea and the concept.
Sophie, selling a show and selling Arsenal amid other teams is different.
It's not. I could sit in a room. If I worked for Arsenal Football Club and I was part of their marketing division, I tell you right now, I would be sitting and having meetings with global brands and trying to figure out how to take the fan experience to the next level and bring in commercial money that will further enhance the team's coffers and assets. That's what I would be doing. We don't do that.
Yeah, but Sophie, my point is this. Don't you think Arsenal are thinking about that? But you're up against all the others as well. Because
hold on,
let me finish. Everybody is out in the same market. It's the same sea.
But you tell me that it doesn't matter if we don't have European football. Arsenal Football Club has the history and play is still Arsenal Football Club.
Sophie,
it's the same token with how you do business, Kev.
It's not the same, Sophie. It's
not. Well, we disagree.
Well, I'm speaking from being on the inside. When Arsenal
and I'm speaking from a marketer point of view.
Okay, if you're speaking from a marketer point of view, if you have 5 companies who want the business, who want somebody to invest in them, 2 of those businesses are successful, very successful, modern successful. Who tends to win? The modern successful.
But how did we get the Amazon deal? We're rubbish in the Premier League, but we're a good story, Kev.
Spurs got the Amazon deal.
But Spurs have been... but it doesn't matter.
No, but they've won nothing.
Yeah, but Sunderland have won nothing, and they got a show on Netflix. The point is
that's
selling
how we get it. That's how we get it.
No, it's selling a concept and an idea and being more creative in terms of how you are executing, handling, and garnering commercial opportunities.
Sophie, the point I'm trying to make is this. Arsenal weren't the first. They didn't go to Arsenal first. Arsenal weren't the first person to get it. Spurs weren't. Who was the first?
Well, Manchester City were the first to do that, but it's a trilogy.
No,
but Kev, it's a series. It's called All or Nothing. It's a series.
Yeah, but Sophie, my point of the matter is
it's the same as Hard Knocks.
No, but my point of my matter is this, Sophie. If Arsenal, Spurs, and Manchester City were on the table for them, they went to Manchester City. That's my point.
No, but so in my film and entertainment background, I'm telling you right now, if I'm launching a new series on Netflix, I'm going with the brand that is the hottest right now, and that's Manchester City.
That's what I said.
No, but it's a series. I'm already They already knew what was coming next, who their targets were next. When you sell a show to Netflix, you sell episodes and you sell a Bible, a series. You tell them what could come in season 2 and season 3.
Sophie, that's fine. But we're not just talking about Netflix or Amazon. We are talking about if there are 5 clubs at the table and they want somebody to come on board. My point, you just rubber stamp my point. My point is they go for the sexier one.
No, they don't. They went for Sunderland before they even did Manchester City. Sunderland till I die. That is not sexy. That is not sexy. That's a great story. But it put Sunderland on the map. It got them more fans globally. I mean, it really helped them. On the pitch, it hasn't helped them because they've got terrible owners.
Sophie, we're talking about 2 different companies, aren't we?
No, well, I don't understand what you mean by that. 2 different companies.
One is Netflix and one is Amazon.
Yeah, but Netflix were the ones that really invested in football.
No buts.
No, there is a but. I don't understand what you're trying to say.
No, but what I'm saying is Netflix do what Netflix do. I'm talking about where you got the football clubs, 5 football clubs, or you're talking about going into Arsenal and being a marketer. You go to the global brands, but everybody's looking to do that, is my point. All the big teams are looking to do that because they're all trying to bring the money in.
Yeah, but we are bigger than Sunderland. I mean, the point of the matter is, I'm saying that as Arsenal Football Club, we have brand equity, a rich history. That rich history and brand equity should have you being much more prolific with your commercial opportunities. And maybe Amazon is the first step in doing that. But we have been very poor at that. We've even had Akil Vias here from the AST telling us that the commercialism of Arsenal is poor. The United States, Arsenal is so huge here. Do you have any idea the kind of branded opportunities that we could have as a club, you know, in this country alone? The things that could be done. They're not thinking outside the box enough, Kev. That's my point.
Well,
you know?
Do you know what, Sophie? Maybe they aren't. But do you know the key to it all is what happens on the pitch. I'm telling you. What happens on the pitch determines, and you might frown, you might scoff, but when you're winning, things are easier.
Well,
it's easier to bring in global partners. It's easier.
Well, no, because Tottenham have won nothing, like you said, and they had an Amazon documentary, and they've built a multi-billion-dollar stadium, and they've got nothing in their trophy cabinet. Zero.
Sophie.
Zero.
But Sophie, I've just made the point. That's what I'm saying. Our Spurs, what Spurs have done was they got better on the pitch. That's what they done. They got better on the pitch. Of course they won. All they won is they won a clapped out Audi, didn't they? That's what they won. But the key is, Sophie, the fact of the matter is they started to move forward, and they, like I said, they scared the life out of me getting to the Champions League final. All of a sudden, you see them off the pitch go dup, 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 move up the levels. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, they've won nothing. But Arsenal are a different standard. I've said it once, whether on the pitch or off the pitch. When we are doing well, we have no problem with the global partners. Arsenal do well with the global partners. Can they do better? Of course they can. But it tends to go with, if the club are doing good on the pitch, things start to roll off it.
There's no doubt about that. No doubt about that whatsoever. Everyone's looking for Vinny, LOL. And you know what? We haven't disagreed in a really long time.
No, but this is
good.
This is good. Because you know what, Sophie? Remember, you come from a different background to me. So it's always nice to hear what you've got to say. Mm-hmm. But you know what? Bottom line, it's a football club. And whatever happens in a football club, whatever you do it on the pitch, everything else runs smooth. Everything
Yeah.
else runs smooth. You don't do it on the pitch, then it's a little bit more difficult because you're out in the sea with others who have been successful. That's all I'm saying.
I totally agree with that. And look, guys, I know we have partnerships with brands and stuff like that, but there's different ways of doing things. And there's much smarter ways of doing things. And there's innovative, creative ways of doing things. And we're good on social. We're one of the best and stuff like that. But every now and again, this is why do people want Daniel Ek from Spotify? Because he's young, he's shiny, he's sexy, he knows how to market things, he's got relationships with pretty much every brand on a global level. That's the type of thing that when I'm sitting there, just to circle back to why I brought this up, is I'm thinking the Cronkies have so much power. They've got so many partners. They can tap into anything today. They could make a phone call and the bank will give them a check for $500 million. And when you have that type of power and you can yield it, it means you can hire super smart people to get a little bit extra out of your club when you're not in Europe. You're still the Arsenal Football Club. You've got the brand equity and the global recognition as well. That's kind of where I was coming from. And it circles around. Everyone was looking for Vinny. There he is.
He's back there. Here he is.
It circles back around to how things were. I mean, Bob showed us his gloves last night. They look like marigolds. They had a hole in it. And, we got to Kev's era. Things stepped up a little bit. And then, the Premier League era, money comes in. And where have we been? Where are we going? And where do we think we're going to kind of end up? But I do agree with one thing that Kev says, no doubt. You win that Premier League again, you start winning those kinds of trophies, everything does change. No doubt about that. Here he is, everyone. Hit that like button.
Hit it, Vinny. Go on, son. Nut it in there, son.
This was only supposed to be a half-hour show, everyone. Said to Kev, it's a quickie tonight. We're just going to do a little review and a half hour. But hey-ho, that's the way it goes.
Sophie, when we get talking, it is what it is, isn't it? When we get going. And, it's always a nice debate as well, Sophie, because where you're coming from, I don't come from your part. You don't come from my part. And this is one of the things, when you're a youngster, when you come into Arsenal, Sophie, this is what you're told. You're told for all of this stadium and for all the periphery stuff, nothing matters if you don't do the business on the pitch. Nothing. So that's your responsibility. Do you know what I mean? They put it on you, so that's your responsibility. That's why we train the hardest. That's why mentally we're stronger. That's where we have to fight, and that's why people are against us, because we're the Arsenal.
Well, let's hope that we can continue turning things around. Okie doke. That's it. That's all we got for you tonight. Be back tomorrow at 8. And Kev is away Thursday, Friday. Kev might not be on tomorrow either, so we'll see how that pans out. We've got the premiere of Drop the Magic Mic coming to you on Thursday. We've got the premiere of Get Off the Potsy during the second week of the international break, and we have a very special series dropping this Friday. And we will tell you more about it maybe tomorrow. I haven't decided yet, Kev. But let's just say Kev's hosting. What? Oh! Over to you, Kev.
Right. Anyway.
Right. He's going to brock my neck for sure now.
No, I'm not going to brock your neck because, listen, you're going to decide when you tell it or when it comes out anyway. But again, Sophie, I've got to say, not only are you the hostess with the mostest, right? But you come up with these shows that really get the mind going, because my mind's still going about when I was 16 going into Arsenal. That first day, you sat in the away dressing room and Dave Villiers there and Alan Miller and Lee Francis and Danny Escalant and, all the boys are there, and they're reading you the riot act. They're telling you what it is to play for Arsenal. Pat Rice, Terry Murphy, Steve Burtonshaw, all the guys. and they're telling you, for all what comes with Arsenal, it's about doing the business on the pitch in that first team. Everything revolves around the football. So if you're not good enough, fail for not being good enough. Don't fail for not applying yourself. And that just came to me as we were talking about that. I was 16 again, honestly. I was sat in the dressing room just looking at them. And it was quite ironic, that it always tends to go back.
Yeah.
Everything, what happens on that pitch is everything. You win games, Sophie. You win. People love you. People want to be seen with you. I've witnessed it myself.
Your sponsorship deals, even as a player, go up and are improved, and completely go through the roof. I know it's not when you say stuff like that. I love how our careers were so different, but yet these moments, like that's how I felt when I first stepped on to. I got my first day at Fox, and I'm on the set of The X-Files, and I'm like, and David Duchovny standing there, and Gillian Anderson is standing there, and I'm this green publicist, and I'm like just in awe and nervous, but excited. Like I can smash this. You know what I mean? Yeah. And
I'm gonna smash it.
I'm gonna smash this. Yeah. You're gonna take that opportunity. Of course. And it's so true about being part of a success, being part of or stepping into something that is a success, because there's trepidation about that too, but there's also this sense of I've got to up my game. Like when you win that moment, Kev, you're thinking, aye, different level now.
This is what I wanted. This is what you wanted to play for Arsenal. You want to be on the inside. Now you got it. Remember who you are, what you are, and who you represent. That's on your shoulders. And now you've got the club. You've got to do the business. And nothing else matters. There's no excuses. You got to do the business. All of you. Yeah. That's what it takes to be at the Arsenal. So I know it got a little bit personal at the end there, because we share so much, although we're separate business, as they say, Sophie. We do. We the mindset has to be right. Yeah. The mindset does have to be right. So.
And where our businesses cross paths is that football is also entertainment.
Of course.
It's a spectacle, So that always reminds me of that line in Gladiator. Are you not entertained?
Yeah. But you know what, Sophie? Winning 1-0 mattered.
Oh, yeah.
That 1-0 to the Arsenal really mattered. No matter how we played, you win 1-0, you got over the line. There's a time to play well. But just getting over. Anyway, look.
You know what? You know why, though, Kev? Because we kept doing it. Over and over and over again.
Yeah. Of course.
And we can win 1-0 now, but we might lose 2, then draw 1, and then win 1-0. So the 1-0's become less impactful than how the tradition of 1-0 to the Arsenal started.
You win 1-0. You do that 4 or 5 times. All of a sudden, people start going, hold on. 1-0, 1-0. The defense gets that toughness, that tough mentality. And the team learn how to get over the line. And for the fan base to sing it as well. It winds all the other teams up, doesn't it? I loved it. Absolutely love it. But Sophie, hostess with the mostest, thank you so much again. Squaddies, always a pleasure having these shows with you. And Sophie, probably see you tomorrow with the Squaddies. Squaddies, at ease.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.